Saturday night on BBC1, bodybuilding in the generation game and Jim loses a few pounds. Then at 6:55 it's off to Crinkley Bottom, where EastEnder Tiffany can't make it fit.
It's too big, I can't see.
In the National Lottery Live, Bob is joined by Jimmy Nail and Steve Coogan's new Latin lover, Tony Farino. At 8:05, a runaway caravan, and it's time to call out Holby General's Flying Doctors. At 9:15, the Festival of Remembrance from the Royal Albert Hall. At 10:50, International Match of the Day, and Glenn Hoddle's got Georgia on his mind with England's bid to qualify, plus action from Group 7, Holland versus Wales. Then stand up for Monsieur Sean Locke.
Je suis Mr. Mystery.
Saturday night on BBC1. The BBC invites you to the Royal Variety Performance with a cast of international stars.
So who else is on with us then? Robson and Jerome, Tom Jones. Anyone famous?
Meet Steve Coogan's latest discovery, Tony Farino.
Let's go.
Along with established acts, Bob Monkhouse and the evergreen Joan Rivers.
One man said, I want you to meet my parents. He took me to the cemetery.
So join Chris Barry
What's this lot doing here?
and the audience at the Royal Variety Performance. Sunday at 7:20 on BBC1.
Your points of view now on BBC1. Remember this.
Good evening. Every Monday at this time I'm going to read you your own letters. I do hope they're going to be highly critical and frightfully disobedient, and so help save television from one of its besetting sins, which is complacency.
Yes, Nostalgia Week, 60 years of the BBC. Points of View only goes back 30, that was the first one. And here's how it looked 20 years later with another new presenter. Well, hello and good evening to everybody. Well, everybody, that is, except Mr. Barry Took of London Northwest 8. No, he hasn't written in, he's on holiday in Spain, which is why I'm here. And in case you haven't a clue who I am, my name is on the screen. I must have been on something. Anyway, thank goodness for Parky. He introduced Auntie's all-time greats on Sunday, a whole host of past and present favourite stars. The viewer's choice of the best of the BBC, many of whom also have hairdos they'd probably rather forget.
The winners will get one of these. It's called an auntie, although any fool can tell it's an uncle, really.
Hello again.
Hello.
Up came the two funny little flower pot men.
At a year old, Valentine was stronger than the biggest dog. I wasn't really sure what I was taking on.
Don't you think you ought to support his head like this? Look, if you're so blinking clever, you nurse him.
If you were given the chance to become Prime Minister,
I would not wish to be Prime Minister. I have not enough experience for that job.
Never at her best on the box, Mrs. T even went up to speed and voice-trained, unlike one of her predecessors, who was a duck to water.
You can see what it's like. The camera's hot, probing eye, these monstrous machines and their attendants, a kind of 20th century torture chamber, that's what it is. But I must try and forget all this paraphernalia and imagine that you are sitting here in the room with me.
Harold Macmillan there from the last of the series of People's Century. Of Auntie's all-time greats, lorry loads of praise, several viewers wondering why the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition were in the lineup, and Mr Cheriton of Penworth and Preston rang to say he was astonished no rugby league was included in a few sides that...
Too many winners were current programmes that nobody will remember in 20 years' time. They were not true classics.
A bit more nostalgia in a minute. Monday night's compelling panorama, presented by Martin Bashir, examined the crisis at the riding school Halifax, closed down last week. It revealed the events surrounding the closure did not just involve unruly, unteachable pupils. There was also hostility between staff, low morale, appalling working conditions. During the first ever interview with the former head teacher, Karen Stansfield, who resigned last month, she was asked whether the teaching was up to scratch.
Not up to scratch is probably the wrong phrase. But I think there are some teachers who are definitely better than others.
These pictures, taken from buildings overlooking the school, suggest a story of disruptive pupils. But now questions are being asked of everyone involved.
It is not simply the pupils because it can never be simply the pupils. The quality of teaching, the quality of management, and the extent to which the local authority has supported this school, these teachers, those factors are part of the equation and must be taken into account.
A variety of comment, praise for the programme's reporting, congratulations to Karen Stansfield for speaking out, and several complaints like this.
I would like to express my deep concern. Pupils were obviously on a high, doubtless encouraged in their disruptive behaviour by the media spotlight. Pupils, parents and schools need protection from the media circus, which can only encourage more anarchy and make matters worse.
Also criticism that,
although the programme was basically very good, I wanted to hear from the teachers. An awful lot of experts had their say, but there was no contribution from the people at the coalface.
One girl's parents were quick to protest when she was put out of school, but where were they when she was causing trouble and getting pregnant at 13 years? I wouldn't give those kids house room, never mind schoolroom. They want a good thrashing.
On Sunday, the first in a quite magnificent new 8-part series, author and art critic Robert Hughes looks at American history through its art and architecture.
To choose a new capital is a radical act for any state. The founding fathers of the American Republic didn't want to take an existing city like New York or Philadelphia and just call it the capital of the United States of America. They wanted a clean slate.
The place they chose in 1791 was empty, all right, because up to then nobody in his right mind would have wanted to live there. It was a tract of hot, humid marshland beside the Potomac River with a few tobacco farms and a large and rich variety of animal life, mostly mosquitoes. They called it Washington. It was to grow into the most powerful city on earth.
More world history on BBC1 on Sunday night. The first time a former Russian president has appeared on the Clive Anderson show, and admittedly with the help of a minder, got several more words in than his host.
Didn't you have a trouble with a glass of water with President Reagan?
У вас, кажется, была какая-то проблема со стаканом воды с президентом Рейганом.
Да нет, это...
No problem.
Не проблема.
Yeah.
Были покруче проблемы.
That was not a problem. There were problems that were a lot tougher.
Yes. Of course, you're extremely popular in the Western world, in America, in Europe. You awarded the
А
Nobel...
вы сертификат мне можете выдать?
Can you give me a certificate of popularity?
Well, we gave you the Nobel Prize. That should do.
Но это Нобелевский комитет, а вы?
Well, that was the Nobel Committee. What about you?
Леонид.
Yeah. But you're not as popular in your own
Не так
country.
популярны у себя в стране.
Кто вам сказал?
Who told you?
They like this, Clive, oh yes.
Gorbachev was wonderful.
Gorbachev's interpreter was wonderful. The interview with Gorbachev was wonderful.
A new drama series for Monday night, BBC2, The Crow Road, a witty black comedy in 4 parts about a not altogether nice Scottish family. The mystery concerns Uncle Rory, who's disappeared but who makes ghostly appearances. Here the family has gathered for Grandma Margot's funeral.
Don't start the cremation! I forgot a pacemaker!
That matter?
Yes, it sodding matters. If you don't take it out, the heat builds up until...
A first impression.
Very sophisticated. The humour is definitely black, but no less funny for that, and the scenery is breathtaking.
Another Scot currently making his way round Australia. Last week, complaints from viewers not wanting Billy Connolly's bad language in their home, thanks very much. Another batch of those this week, but also a handful for the defence.
Anyone who hasn't been living under a rock for the last 2 or 3 decades shouldn't be surprised Billy Connolly swears.
I think he's the most entertaining man alive, a living legend. And if this moaning man doesn't like his language, then I'd like to say to him, don't watch it. Use the off switch.
He's gone. Next, some points of order.
Dear Anne, what a laugh my wife Carolyn and I had at the end of Watchdog. Who's working Jonathan's hands while he does the talking?
Same person who's pulling the strings a minute later.
Service. Anybody who's been to cinema that they don't like, let us know about it.
Also from How Did They Do That? The polar bear prancing around and starring with Charlton Heston in a new film. One concerned viewer wants to know...
What happens when it's fully grown?
Charlton Heston takes it home to cook for Sunday lunch. No, I jest. Aggie, in the manner of all ambitious starlets, goes to Canada to live on a farm with his drama coach. That's it. I'll leave you with another batch of Auntie's greatest hits. The one who makes me go weak at the knees first.
This is the time of year when the League Championship will be settled, the cricket season's about to get underway, and flat racing gets fully into its stride. We'll continue to do our best to cover sport in the way that you like. backed up by our highly professional team.
It's the first drunk we've ever had on Nationwide. Thank you very much for introducing us.
And if you have any comments on BBC programmes, please write to Points of View, BBC Television, London W12 7TS, or phone or fax 0181 811 1050. Email pov@bbc.co.uk. And if you do get in touch, please leave an evening and daytime number so we can call you back.
Some say they couldn't live without it, others say it's a waste of time. BBC1 watches you watching The Box tonight at 10:15.
These steps represent a bright new dawn for refuse collection.
Nice new uniforms, smart wagons, and lads that don't swear.
I'm not going to let myself be treated like dirt, then pat myself on the back just because I never moaned.
The award-winning Commoners Muck.
Come with the hour! Come with the bin man!
Starts Monday, 10:50 on BBC1.
When your mother's confused.
Sweetheart, have you seen my vibrating thing?
By your bed, dear.
And you're smoking too much. Your daughter's a problem?
Oh, still no tongue.
And your health's gone to pot. Get off the treadmill and go on the piste.
I'm going round again! Some apres. Or shall I send them home?
The Last Shout in half an hour on BBC1. Absolutely fabulous, darling.